Okay, looking at number 4, we have to evaluate these integrals. So when we look at this integral, if you see, this is going to be an integral that requires u substitution because we have an inner function here. So the first thing in that process is finding what u equals. In this case, it's what's under the square root, so u is 4 minus x, which means du, so the derivative of u is the derivative of 4 is 0, the derivative of negative x is negative 1. We don't have to write the 1, we can just write dx. So if du equals negative dx, that means that we need a negative here. If we put a negative there, we need to undo it by putting a negative on the outside. So when we do this process, we have negative integral. Negative dx becomes du. And then be careful because this is in the bottom, so it's going to stay in the bottom. Negative, we have the square root of u. And then since we're changing to u's, this is the instance where we need to change the limits. So we're going to come over here and we're going to use this equation. U equals 4 minus 0 and u equals 3, or 4 minus 3, excuse me. So 4, change that to a 4 minus 3. So our top limit is 4 to 1, so we have 0 turned into 4, and 1 turned into 3 turned into 1. I know that this looks backwards, and when we were doing area, we always said the smaller number was on the bottom. What that means is just that the integral is going to end up being negative, but since this first one turned into this second one, we're fine. We just do, that is what it is, we just move forward, and that's all we need to do. So the next thing to do is to rewrite this because we have a radical and it's also in the bottom. So let's leave that negative out front. We'll leave 4 to 1, and that square root will be u to the negative 1/2 du. Okay, from there we integrate, so we leave the negative out front. The negative 1/2 plus 1 is going to be a positive 1/2. So this will be u to the 1/2 divided by 1/2 from 4 to 1. We can simplify that. This 1/2 will flip and we'll have a negative. It'll become a 2 in front, square root of u from 4 to 1. And then we do f of b minus f of a, fundamental theorem of calculus. So f of b, b is up top, so we're going to have negative 2 times square root of 1 minus the square root of 4. So we can simplify this. You can leave it like this. Remember, for the quiz, we're really worried about your notation, and once you have all the numbers in there, you can be done. But for this specific problem, we can, it's easy to take the square root, so you could have negative 2 times 1 minus 2, which would be negative 2 times negative 1, which will give you a positive 2 if you really want to do that. But remember, you can stop here at this first green line for the quiz. Okay, so let's look at part B. Part B is also going to need u substitution because we have an inner function here. So to do that, we need to find what u is going to be equal to. In this case, it's going to be 3x plus 4, which means the derivative of u du is 3 dx. Okay, so be careful with your notation here because I will be looking for the du and the dx here. Make sure that you're writing everything correctly. So from there, we have this will become a square root of u, but dx needs a 3 in front to become du. So we need a 3 in front. If we put 1 in front, we need to divide by the 3 because this 3 and dx make up the du. So we will have the integral 1/3 in front we can't just bring down the -1 and 0. We need to change those to u values. So we will have 3 times -1 plus 4 and 3 times 0 plus 4. So -3 plus 4, which is 1. And then we have 0 plus 4, which is 4. And then from there, we can plug those in. So we're going to write those over here. So the -1 became 1, and the 0 became 4. Okay. And then we can integrate. So we need to rewrite this. So we have 1/3. We're integrating. We're still rewriting. We're not adding 1 to the exponent because we don't have an exponent to add 1 to yet. So this becomes u to the 1/2 du. Okay. From there, we can integrate. So the 1/3 out front. Once we add 1 to the exponent, the integral is gone. So we will have u to the 3/2 divided by 3/2 or multiplied by 2/3. And then we've integrated, so du is gone, and we need a vertical line with our limits, 1 to 4. Then we can simplify these two things up front. So we can multiply the 1 and 2. So we'll get 2 on the top. 3 times 3 will give us 9 on the bottom. We have u to the 3/2 from 1 to 4. And then we use the fundamental theorem of calculus and plug all that in. So we have 2/9 times 4 to the 3/2 minus 1 to the 3/2. Now for the quiz, I'm focusing on notation. So I want to see your limits changed. I want to make sure that you have du and dx where you need those. Make sure that you're writing the limits on all of these until you plug it in. So you could stop here if that's what you wanted to do. If you really want to simplify this, you would have a square root. So the 2's on the bottom means you're going to take the square root, and then you're going to, the 3's on the top means that you're going to cube it. And they are times 2/9. So when you simplify this, you'd have 2/9 times 2 cubed minus 1 cubed. So that will give you an 8 minus 1, which is 2. So you will end up with a 14/9 as your final answer.